What's up, everyone? In today's video, we're going to be covering the best setups in the market right now. And I'll tell you right now, even if you didn't have a great day in the market today, this whole week will be filled with some of the best opportunities we've seen in some time. Looking at the charts today, even though a lot of stocks at least didn't pop up, there was some awesome movement to the downside, and we are seeing a very big shift that we have not seen in a long time in the market. So buckle up, make sure to watch to the end. We have a lot to cover, and we have important things you will not want to miss. But with that being said, Tom, let's jump right into it.
Yeah, a lot of stocks were down today, Mike, and guess what? We've been talking about this for a long time. So personally, I was actually very pleased and happy with this downwards movement today. We finally saw Tesla break below 250. That was a big support this morning. They started trading right off that, ended up falling right below. Nvidia really broke below 420. It took a little while. It actually popped up a little bit early on this morning, and then we had that big tumble off around midday. And man, these stocks were brutal today, Mike. If we go over to my watch list on the left side of the screen, just look at the bottom here. I mean, all of these stocks, even Google down 3%, Meta 3.55%. So we definitely had a lot of selling pressure come in. I know a lot of people lately have been really eyeing up the chip stocks, Mike. And as we look at it here, it's pretty crazy. We actually just saw some of the highest call options volume that we've seen in the past couple years on these chip stocks. So that's pretty insane to see, Mike, especially considering how high they've been and how they're starting to tumble over a little bit more.
Exactly. So let's go back to the charts for 1 second. These chip stocks have been the story of the entire market lately. Whether you're looking at AMD or Nvidia or Intel or TSM or basically any other chip stock, it has been booming, especially with the, AI bubble that we have going on as well. And what's crazy to see, as Tom was just saying, what we're seeing right now in the market is the highest daily call options volume for chip stocks than we have ever seen. Think back to all the giant crazes in 2020 and all the all-time highs in 2021. And then you compare that to now, the volume we're seeing now just crushes all of that. And that's very interesting to see, especially, Tom, as we're starting to see them fall down. So it's like June was an amazing month for call option volume for these chip stocks, but it really does look like that tide is turning.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit worried, Mike, because I'm scared that a lot of people out there are still looking at the market and they're saying like, hey, these chip stocks are still very bullish. I'm going to try to buy up this dip and everything like that. But I don't know, Mike. This time we have the insiders starting to sell out of Nvidia shares, and we have just so much going on in the market. People are forecasting mild recessions later in the year. There's like all these bad forecasts, and I don't know. I definitely feel like we're starting to fall off to the downside a little bit more. And just if you are a call player out there, be very careful. You've been on a great streak the past almost the past 6-7 months straight. But I will say, I think tides are starting to turn and bears are starting to take control just a little bit more. And today was the first time, we finally moved below that big range on Nvidia in the past few weeks. Like, we've been stuck up here for a little while now. So I was really happy to see us finally get down there, even though the call options volume is high.
Yeah, it's like the past year has been like a non-stop money printer for these chip stocks, but I think we're really starting to see like a shift in the market that we really haven't seen in almost a year from now, especially with like some of these powerhouses like Nvidia. So just be prepared, not even just looking at chip stocks, but even if we switch over to like stocks like Meta or Tesla, they're seeing some pretty strong selling pressure that even they haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, exactly. Look at Tesla here. That is really rough today. They got under 250, which was their big support here in the short term too. That's going to be brutal. Now they're sitting right around 240. Maybe watch that as a decent support if you're going to look at that. I know Meta was at one of the biggest, hottest stocks of the past couple months, and they were even popping up yesterday a little bit. But today, that was a stark reversal, Mike, and they actually had some decent news come out. They're launching a VR subscription service. Costs $7.99 a month. You'll get 2 games with this service for the Meta Quest headset. So maybe they're trying to promote that a little bit more. Another revenue stream for them. But I definitely didn't help the stock. And I don't think that news is going to help it tomorrow either. It was kind of interesting to see them come out with that service, though. I think other companies might start to follow in their footsteps, releasing other services like that.
Yeah, we'll keep it on the radar. But Tom, I want to talk a little bit more about what we have up and coming for July. The whole year has been great so far, and over the past 10 years, 9 of those years have seen green Julys for the stock market. So if we look at the data on the screen, we can see 90% of the time, or 9 out of the past 10 years, July has been green. And on average, it has had the highest return out of any other month of the entire year. And I think this is very interesting because literally going into July, we are seeing some of the strongest selling pressure out of these stocks like Tesla, Meta, Nvidia, and other big tech stocks than we've seen in some time. So I think it's very interesting. On average, July's been good, but kind of have a feeling this year might be the exact opposite.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're a little bit confused by this chart, that star above there, or above those blue bars, is obviously showing you that percentage. And you can see on July there, 90% right above there. That's 9 out of the past 10 months have been positive. So that's good, Mike. I'm glad, honestly, that that's the case. But like some people say, whenever you're on a streak like that, sometimes you're due to lose. And I don't know. I kind of feel like that we're due to maybe fall down a little bit this July. But that's really good to see historically that we've done well. But I don't know, with these stocks the way that they are now, it's definitely a little bit scary to say that I would expect July to be green now. I would tell you, Mike, like if I had to bet on that, I don't think I'd do it, because it would be a very scary one.
Yeah, it's almost like the law of averages, It's like if you have great returns for, let's say July over the past 10 years, on average, everything should kind of like even out. So we'll see what happens, but it's definitely interesting nonetheless. Another thing that I definitely caught my eye today was the giant news with Lucid. So Lucid, for those of you who don't know, is an electric vehicle company, and right now their stock's trading for like $5.60 per share. It has highs. Oh, I have to go back far on this chart, Tom. It has highs of like $65 a share that it made back in 2021. And this thing has just been getting its teeth kicked in for like the past 2 years. It has been brutal. And when you compare it to like other electric vehicle stocks like Tesla, or honestly even like Rivian or Ford or GM, or honestly anything else, it has just been brutal. But we are starting to see a little bit of daylight with Lucid. So basically they struck a huge deal with Aston Martin for EVs. This is a $450 million deal. Aston Martin's a pretty big company, as we all know, and it's a pretty big deal size as well. Under the agreement, we can see Aston Martin will pay a technology access fee to Lucid for $232 million. And then on top of that, Aston Martin basically said they're going to spend minimum $225 million. So I think this is great news for Lucid, and I think it can definitely power a pretty good reversal, because honestly, it's just been horrible news with Lucid for years now.
It really has. They've been going down nonstop. Their cars are just, to me, out of this world price-wise. They're above $100,000. I'll be honest, Mike. If I'm going to spend $100,000, I'm getting a new Corvette. I'm getting some type of really badass car. I'm not buying some Lucid sedan. So that's where I stand as far as Lucid goes. But I think that's awesome. I mean, Aston Martin, now they make some cool cars. Like, this is the DB12. Maybe they'll do something, trying to maybe fit a powertrain into something like this or one of their future cars. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of work that has to be done to refine that, getting that powertrain in there in some way. But it's definitely a good deal, Mike. I think it'll help both companies. Specifically, though, Lucid, I mean, that stock has been brutal, so they need something. And I'll say, Mike, they didn't even hold up today. I was expecting them to maybe hold above like 580, maybe even above 6 with how the morning started out, but that was a pretty big trend back down even. They almost made new lows again.
Right, so that's the thing. It's hard to get this one to actually move, and Lucid's gonna end up supplying Aston Martin with the electric motors and batteries. The bot actually called Lucid out today, and the play moved to the upside in a good way. But I was really hoping for it to move even more. It kind of ended up being a little bit of like a letdown, how it ended up just fading off throughout the rest of the day. But I'll tell you, like, I really do like the risk to reward setup here on Lucid. It's definitely not a safe stock by any means, but it's like, you know, when it's beaten down this much, the stock's at, you could call it $5.60 a share, and you have good news like this with a pretty big company like Aston Martin, it can be the beginning phase of a turnaround. So I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be watching Lucid pretty closely over the rest of the week and even the next couple weeks, because I just think it's like, yeah, it's not a safe setup, but it's like, you know, you're risking like X to maybe make like 6X.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think it'll be great for a trade here in the short term. I don't know how I feel about holding them long term, but for the short term, I think it's great. And their correlation to the SPY is like nothing. So that's fantastic. If the SPY goes down, this stock can definitely do whatever it wants. And maybe, Mike, as some of this big money starts to come out of some of these big stocks, we'll see some of these smaller, lower cap stocks like Lucid that haven't done anything the past year start to finally do something. So maybe that'll be a change in markets as well.
Exactly. So good stuff there. It's great that it does not move with the market because it'll just do whatever it wants. So awesome to see that, Tom. But it is now time to talk about some of those good setups for tomorrow. So yeah, if you guys missed out today, don't worry. This is the week of opportunity, and we're going to hit it hard. So one stock I'm watching pretty closely is Microsoft. Microsoft is showing a lot of bearish price action right now. It's weak and it broke below the $330 level. The next major supports are at $325 and $320. The stock is pretty overbought, and when you have tech stocks falling like this, it makes it a lot easier for Microsoft to break those supports. So I'll be watching it pretty closely to the downside.
Yeah, me too. It's one of my favorites as well, Mike. I know you've been talking about this big support here around 332 for a while, and we finally got that big breakdown today. So that was awesome to see there. We saw so many great plays to the downside, or potential plays, I should say. And with these tech stocks going down, I can't help but call SQQQ. I think it's time, Mike. This stock's been brutal here the past few months. You know, we've been just waiting for these tech stocks to start to fall, and this has gotten lower and lower. Today, we finally got a good move, up 3.95%. I'm definitely going to watch for this one to go. Now, the thing with this is that it's going to be a total feel of momentum. You're going to have to watch the QQQ, SPY, Apple, Microsoft, Tesla. Watch those tech stocks. If they keep going down tomorrow and you see more breaks, then SQQQ will be fantastic. But then again, if we wake up and stocks are trending right back up as they have been the past couple weeks, then we'll have to go ahead and maybe scratch that play. But I do like it to the downside, Mike, obviously, you know, if we see those bigger stocks like your play, Microsoft, go down too.
Awesome. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Meta, and it is very similar to the Microsoft setup. It's bearish, you know, it's a big tech stock, obviously. It has some support right around 277, and then if it breaks below that, it has secondary support levels at 275, and then another one at 270. So I'm going to have a close eye on this one to the downside as well.
Yeah, I love this one. It's been in a big channel here. It's bouncing off 290 with some... I mean, that is like almost a perfect bounce right there off 290. So I love to see that. Great moves to the downside. I know there's so many stocks going down right now, Mike. It's like, man, you can pick almost any tech stock out there and trade it down. I'm actually going to go with one to the upside for tomorrow. This is going to be X, or US Steel. I noticed that they were running up today pretty well. They're not really correlated to the SPY, which is great. Their sector is obviously nothing compared to tech. So whenever I watch this, if they break above 2410 tomorrow, I will keep it on the radar for calls. I know this one has been doing pretty well lately, and if we look at the daily, it's still pretty low on the daily, but for example, like in this big recent range, there's still a lot of room if we retest this big resistance around 28 or 30. So just keep it on the radar. It's one of those stocks that does whatever it wants.
And that's a good thing, right? Because
yeah, especially right now.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It's like if we were in the endless money printer times of 2020 and 2021, it's like, you know, it's not as big of a deal if, you know, you have a stock that's super correlated with SPY, because SPY is just doing nothing but going straight up. But when you have times that we're in now where it's like, you know, SPY is kind of too overbought to buy, and also maybe not the best idea to short, you kind of want stocks that, you know, just do whatever they want. So good stuff there. But Tom, it is now time for those momentum plays. With the first one, we have good old Tesla to the downside.
Man, and I usually go to intraday charts, but I really wanted to show everybody this daily chart of Tesla right now. Just look at this thing falling off, and there's a gap to fill on this daily, down to around 235. So maybe that'll be a good target tomorrow if we break below 240. Watch the big 240 support. If we break that, watch 235 for the next area of support. But, man, it's starting to fall off in a big way, Mike. 6% today. I love to see it.
I know some people are going to be raging at us in the comments down below. How dare you talk about Tesla to the downside? But hey, I mean, the truth is, like, sometimes, like you could be a giant fan of Tesla, and that's awesome. But, acknowledge that, obviously every stock has up days and down days, and it's about, being able to adapt to whatever the momentum or whatever the trend is for that day. So, Tesla's definitely struggled a bit today, and, that sometimes could actually mean there's even more opportunity with puts. Like, I'll just go to the Tesla options chain really quickly, and I can see right now for today, some of these put options went up by like 230% plus. So keep that in mind. But with the next momentum play, we have good old Google to the downside.
Yeah, Google here. I like this one. Good little double bottom. It's not like they're like running down to lows of the day or anything like that. Go ahead and make them break right below 118.25. If they break that, watch 118. If they break it in pre-market, then just make them break below 118. I would say that's a pretty safe level there, but it's just like that double bottom's pretty good there from today, and that's going to be a big area to watch for tomorrow.
You know it. And with the last one, we have TLT to the upside.
Man, Mike, this one keeps trying to go up, and then it just comes right back down. It's just like really stuck here around this 103, 104 area. If they can break above 104 tomorrow, I'll look for calls again. I mean, that's a big level. We broke above it this morning, but like I said, it was mainly pre-market. So watch that area. 104 is going to be huge.
All right, sounds good. So we have that upside level on TLT. If it breaks above that, we're watching it for calls. And then we have the downside levels on Google and Tesla. If they break below those levels, we're watching them for puts. But it is now time for the big money $714,000 trade of the day. And we are looking at none other than GT. So this is Goodyear Tire. Basically, someone dumped $714,000 into the 14 strike call options that expire on August 18th of 2023. And while some of you are probably disappointed that this is not some crazy big tech stock or one of those crazy biotechnology stocks, it's just, disappointing Goodyear Tire, there's still opportunity here. So obviously, someone is pretty bullish on this stock right now. It's trading for around $13 and we'll call it 40 cents. The strike price is 14, and for those of you who don't understand options, it's just someone betting that the stock will rise a lot going forward. I do like the risk-to-reward ratio on this one. This stock has been making higher lows lately, which is good to see. And, it kind of moves by itself, too, which is also a great sign to see. So, I like the risk-to-reward ratio, and I'm going to have a close eye on it.
Yeah, and I actually really love this daily chart setup. The way that they had this big gap to the upside recently, and then they started consolidating here. I feel like this is a great dip to buy off of, especially as it's getting down close to some of these supports like 13 and then 12. That's actually really good looking there on the daily if it starts to come back up. So I'll keep my eyes on it too, Mike. I was not expecting Goodyear Tire to be a $14 stock. I thought they were a little bit higher than that, but hey, I'll say this thing's no slouch either. Let's look at recent lows to recent highs. Things up 55%, 56%. Look at some of those moves like, COVID. Some of those moves were insane, 100% plus. So this stock's definitely no slouch, Mike. It has some pretty big swings every once in a while.
Yeah, and talking about like a higher share price, maybe you're confusing Goodyear with AutoZone, ticker symbol AZO. That thing's crazy.
Yeah, I probably am. Let's see it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there it is. $2,400. Yeah, there it is. Whenever you first said it, I was laughing because I was like, oh man, it's going to be $2,500 a stock. But yeah, that's insane to see it down here at 14. That's something else. And you know what? Whenever I go back in time, the all-time or the recent high is around 36. So it looks like this one's just been low for a while.
Exactly. So keep a close eye on that boring old company, Goodyear Tire. Either way, the big money's making a pretty big move on it, and it's worth watching. But Tom, I think the biggest thing to take away in the market right now is the shift we're seeing. If you look at these big tech stocks like Tesla or any other big tech stock for that matter, they have been pumping nonstop over the past couple weeks and months. But it looks like things are changing, and that's not a bad thing. And a lot of opportunity is available at these times, and for me at least, I hate trading towards like the end of a trend when it's like, let's say you have an uptrend that's just been going on for like, I don't know, like 6 months and the stock's already up like 500%. It's like, I hate buying at that point, but at the same time, it's like, it's hard to short at the perfect time. But I love when like new trends start, and at least as of right now, it looks like one is starting, and it's been pretty bearish so far.
Yeah, it really has. And I think it's, like you said, it's creating so many opportunities out there. So if you guys are not yet subscribed or anything like that yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon as well. You'll get notified to every single video that we post. So it'll be awesome, Mike. We'll have so many great plays as we go forward here the next few months. And even if the market starts to trend back up, we'll adapt and we'll start trading it back up then. So it'll be awesome, Mike. We're definitely in for a fun end of the year, especially with Powell out there and some of these guys forecasting recession. I don't know, Mike. I'm forecasting some volatility over anything else at that point.
And volatility equals money. Let's go. At least the good volatility, because when you have stocks moving in a big way, those options go absolutely insane. I mean, like we were talking about Tesla a couple minutes ago. We saw a 6% move down, but those put options easily moved up 200%. And I've seen many times where options, whether they be put or calls, go up by thousands or even tens of thousands of percentage points. So good stuff. I am pretty excited for this upcoming volatility as well. But Tom, you're forgetting one thing for us. Earnings and the schedule. What do we need to know for this week?
Yeah, exactly. I'm forgetting it on purpose, Mike, because I don't think they're going to play too much of a role here. But looking at the economic data tomorrow, we do have some durable goods, some new home sales, so keep that in mind. On Wednesday, Powell's going to be speaking. On Thursday, he'll be speaking again. He's speaking in Europe, so keep that in mind. I don't think it'll be too crazy. There's some GDP growth rate numbers coming out Thursday as well, and then personal income and spending numbers on Friday. So towards the end of the week, the data starts to pick up. But for right now, not too much. And if we go over to those earnings, we have Walgreens, Micron, Nike on Thursday. So we do have some pretty big stocks. Micron's going to be very interesting. They're in that chip sector that we talked about tonight.
I think Micron's going to be the most popular earnings release for the week. Of course, it's one of those chip stocks, but, even its just competitors for this week on the schedule aren't anything too crazy. I'm sure people will be watching the Nike report as well, but either way, it'll be a pretty exciting earnings week, and it'll only get better as the weeks go on, because we'll see those banks report, and then obviously the big tech stocks again. So good stuff there. But besides that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to subscribe. And last but not least, we want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Rookie Trader in the StockedUp Discord. You've been in the chat for almost 2 years now. You have a great mindset and an awesome activity track record, we'll say, in the Discord. We love to have you in there, so huge shout out to you, Rookie Trader. Besides that, guys, let's have an amazing week.